Hello! How are you doing today? My name is Emery the Forest Gnome. Thank you for coming out to my woods today. I thought I'd tell you a story. All right, let's begin. Today's story is a classic. It's about a little girl named Little Red Riding Hood. Now, Little Red Riding Hood lived in an old village next to the enchanted forest. Everybody knew each other. And her mom had given her a red coat or a riding hood several years ago, and she was never seen without it. Kind of like I'm never seen without my hat. So they nicknamed her Little Red Riding Hood. Well, one day, her mom came up to her and said, "Your grandmother's not feeling very good. Would you please bring this basket of goodies that I'm going to make and give to your grandma?" Well, Little Red Riding Hood said, "Sure, I'd love to see Grandma." So she made a picnic basket with chicken noodle soup, some cookies, a piece of cake, put it into the bag or into the picnic basket and gave it to Little Red Riding Hood. Right before Little Red Riding Hood left, Mom said, "Now, remember, she's on the other side of the enchanted forest. Stay on the path. Do not stray off the path. And do not talk to strangers. Can you do that for me?" And Little Red Riding Hood said, "Sure, not a problem." Well, she took off down that path and was walking along, and she looked over and she saw some beautiful flowers right off the path. So she said, "Boy, those would be great for Grandma. I'm sure those would cheer her up." So she went off the path, walked off the path, and started picking those flowers. Well, she saw some even prettier flowers off the path. And she got off the path even farther. The next thing you know, she really didn't know where the path was. About that time, a dark character was sitting in the woods, hungry. His name was the Big Bad Wolf. And he was mighty hungry. He looked at Little Red Riding Hood and thought, I might just eat her. So he crept up to her and said, "Hey, little girl, what are you doing out in the woods by yourself?" And she said, "Oh, well, I'm going to Grandmother's house, and I got off the path. I can't seem to find it." Well, the Big Bad Wolf said, "Well, what's in the basket?" "Well, my grandmother's not feeling very good. So there's some chicken noodle soup, there's a piece of pie, and cookies, and all kinds of stuff for Grandma." Well, the Big Bad Wolf was hungry, and he looked at Little Red Riding Hood and the basket of snacks and thought, "Well, that's not enough for a meal, but I could go and I could beat her to Grandmother's house, and I could eat both of them." So the Big Bad Wolf said, "Well, you go right back to that rock and turn right, and you'll be right back on the path. Now you hurry along and be safe." "Thank you." She even pulled out a cookie and gave it to the Big Bad Wolf. And he sniffed it and ate it, and he took off around a shortcut. Got to Grandmother's house and knocked on the door. And Grandma was thinking that Little Red Riding Hood was right at the door, said, "Come on in." And he came on in, and Grandma went, "Oh my God, it's the Big Bad Wolf." "I'm the Big Bad Wolf, I'm very hungry." And he took Grandma, swallowed her all the way down in one gulp. Oh. Now he was big, and he was feeling pretty good, but he's like, some more of those cookies and Little Red Riding Hood will be just right. So he looked around and found a night coat. Got in that night coat and got into bed. And just about that time, there was a knock on the door. And the Big Bad Wolf said, "Hello, Little Red Riding Hood? come on in. So Little Red Riding Hood, she opened the door and came right in and went to where Grandmother was in bed. And she looked at Grandmother and said, thinking to herself, something's not right. She said, Grandmother, are you okay? And she said, yes, I'm fine. Said, well, Grandmother, what big ears you have. And that wolf thought fast, oh, the better to hear you with, Little Red Riding Hood. Well, Little Red Riding Hood looked and saw big eyes. Said, Grandmother, what big eyes you have. And the wolf said, all the better to see you with, Little Red Riding Hood. And Little Red Riding Hood was looking at the mouth and saw those big teeth and was starting to get worried and said, Grandmother, look at those big teeth. And he said, all the better to eat you with. Grabbed Little Red Riding Hood, gulped her down. All he had left was the basket of goodies right at the moment, and he was sitting on the bed eating cookies. About 1 o'clock in the afternoon, there was a woodsman who was always taking care of the path, making sure it was clear, making sure the trees were taken care of. And every day about 1 o'clock, he would go and he would visit Grandmother. And Grandmother, she would make some tea, they'd sit on the front porch and talk, and they did this every day. He was a good friend to Grandmother. Well, he knocked on the door, not seeing her outside, and was like, well, that's strange, and knocked on the door. And that startled the wolf. He's like, hello! Hello! Well, come on in. Well, the woodsman came in, and it didn't take him long to figure out that it was the big bad wolf. And he's like, big bad wolf? Where's Grandmother at? None of your business. It is too my business. She's one of my good friends. And what have you done with her? None of your business. And while he's eating a cookie, hey, is that Little Red Riding Hood's picnic basket? That's still none of your business. He said, they're both my friends and it is my business. And he grabbed that wolf and he turned him upside down and started shaking him. Started just shaking him like this. And the next thing you know, bleh, out came Little Red Riding Hood. And she was a little startled. It was like, ah! Grandmother's still in there. He grabbed that wolf again and started twisting and turning and moving around. Get out! Let her go! Let her go! And about that time, bleh, and he threw the big bad wolf down, and Grandmother came out. Now they're a little wet and a little scared at the time, but they were doing it, but they were fine. And they looked at that big bad wolf and said, it is time for you to get out of this woods. And they took and they ran after him and ran him all the way out of the enchanted forest. And he was never seen again. So there are some important lessons here to be learned. Never stray off the path. Never talk to strangers. Treat your elders with respect. And good friends are always the best to have. I hope you have enjoyed today's story. I really enjoyed telling it to you. One of the best things that you can do for me is to make sure that you like and share these stories so that I can continue to make more for you. If you've enjoyed them, please let me know. Thank you so much, and you have a good day from the Enchanted Forest.